How you guys doing? Welcome to the first episode of the Darren to Share podcast. I want to start this out by saying rest in peace to all of those who've lost their lives at the hands of police brutality. This is now June 26th, and this episode was recorded in May 4th, and I don't want to let this episode go without mentioning rest in peace to those who have lost their lives at the hands of police brutality. And I want to make sure that all my brothers and sisters, my friends, educate yourselves on your local policies, educate yourselves on your local officials, and make sure that you're informed. And I really hope that the country is moving in the right direction, and I do think we're making a lot of progress, and I really hope to continue to see that progress. And I want to make sure that I do my part to encourage you guys to do your research, to understand your local officials and understand your power, and utilize your voice. All of my friends, all of my family members, utilize your voice to speak up for those who are not heard, or those who are misunderstood, those who are marginalized. I have so many friends, and I felt so much support during this time, and I've really felt a community or a communion that I haven't felt almost ever. This has been the most, though the times are terrible and scary, I feel like we're moving in some of the right directions, and we're being heard, and we're being heard by a lot of people for once. So I wanted to say that before I start this episode, because this episode was filmed in May, and George Floyd had not been killed at the time of this recording, and I didn't want to let the episode go without mentioning, mentioning my thoughts at the beginning of the episode. So please enjoy the conversation. I look forward to bringing you guys a lot more content. I'm going to be recording frequently and documenting the key points and putting the key points from the conversations out as well, the gems, the things that we can all kind of learn from and hopefully apply to our lives in a positive way. Any feedback you guys can give me, I really appreciate it. I'm just getting used to recording and editing and putting things out, and I want to understand what you guys want to hear too. So let me know in the comment section. Rest in peace to all of those who've lost their lives, and keep moving in the right direction, guys. Keep learning, keep educating yourselves, keep improving yourselves. Enjoy the episode. It's a conversation between my friends O'Neil and Kodi. They're both engineers in Austin, Texas, and we're sharing a lot of our personal experiences on failures, on journaling, on self-reflection, things that have worked for us, and things we plan to do. So please enjoy the episode, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing? This is group podcast number 1, Darren to Share podcast with Darren Samuels, your boy,
Hi, guys.
Kodi, and O'Neil. And like I always say, my goal with this podcast is to learn through the experiences of others. I think life is the best teacher. So we're just going to share whatever's on our mind. We don't really have a script or anything like that. Whatever's going on in the moment is what we're going to talk about. So yeah. Welcome, guys.
Something I've been meaning to talk about is failure. Yeah, and being like okay to fail. So I don't know. It's like I feel like we talk about failure and like not in a sense of like failure being bad, but like what we can learn from failing and how it's okay to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned that recently from my experience. Told you guys about. I was looking for. I'll share it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you want me to share, I can share.
No, it's okay. We can share it. Yeah, it's all good.
I can give the background.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So with the Fisk interview, like I really thought that I was lined up for it. You know what I'm saying? It was something that I was gonna I thought I was gonna get it. Like everything just seemed like it was making sense, and I was putting so much stake into like, oh, when I get this, I'm gonna feel like this. I'm gonna be this person. Excuse me. I'm gonna be, what I'm saying. I was like, when I get this, I will be this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than like, I am this, and when I get this, you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna do more with this. You know what I'm saying? Like.
So you were letting it like define you.
Define me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was. I'm doing a lot of self-reflection. Past 2 days, just kind of like being to myself. I think I told O'Neil, I've been just kind of like being to myself, just like thinking and just really trying to, understand why it was, what I'm saying, like that I felt like, oh, I failed. You know what I'm saying? But
so, first of all, you currently have a job and you're looking at other opportunities.
Yes.
Right? That's the gist of what's going on here. Right?
Yeah.
And the company you were looking at, you had interviewed how many times? Like how many times?
Once.
Like how long did that whole process take?
Since January.
Since January.
Mid-January.
Yeah. You were trying to understand why you put so much stock in, like the validation from getting the job, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. Like I
You realize you put all that stock
I realized I put a lot of stock in it, because I was letting it define who I thought I was. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I've gotten to this level where I feel like I can code at this level. I feel like I'm this, that. So when I get this, I'm gonna be this. You know what I'm saying? Versus like recognizing myself and my abilities. You know what I'm saying? I was chasing this recruiter for 5 months, 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes she'll hit me back. I'm just like, wait, you know what I'm saying? It's like getting left on red. You know what I'm saying? Just
my whole recruiter.
You know what I'm saying?
Trust me, bro. Literally, when I was interning, bro, I had to chase down this dude, the HR guy who was recruiting. Like literally, you told we went through the same thing, bro. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But for real, like literally. I know how you feel. It feels worse than getting left out. Because like that's your whole life. Your whole life is in your hands. Like, I really felt like that dude was playing with my future because he was not replying to emails, and I for real had to stay on top of him. So I understand that. But.
And it's I guess the reason I really started really thinking about it was because I interviewed with Google the first time, didn't get it. Interviewed them the second time, didn't get it. Then interviewed with Facebook, and I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? I was just starting to think like, why do I keep failing? You know what I'm saying? I was like thinking, what's wrong with me? Like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that I'm lacking? I kept on thinking like I'm less. I was like, why do these people not see me for, you know what I'm saying?
Who you see yourself?
Who I see myself, like where I see myself going. So I was like, why am I less? And that's what I've been kind of like battling, like, and that's not, like, I think failure should make us, because I talked to my mom, you know what I'm saying, which is...
She always points you.
Yeah, always points in the right direction, and I haven't posted on my Instagram story about this today.
You did?
Yeah, just before I left, right before I left, because so this is the topic, so what she was saying, she was like, a lot of us, like, we think that we're not where we need to be, or we think if I could only just get here, if I could only just do this, I'm gonna be this. You know what I'm saying?
It's a
like,
gift and a curse, bro.
And it's like, but there's so many people looking at you and like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, look at O'Neil. Look at Darren. Look at Kodi. Like, I wish I could just. Yeah. And my homeboy, let me read you what he said, because he was just asking me. We were just DMing just randomly, and then he told me this. He said, we're talking. This is a snippet from what he said. He said, "You're like one of the mentors out here going up and up since Baylor." I'm seeing that. I'm just like,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
If you only knew.
What are you talking about? I said, I was like,
they only knew where we were like 4 years ago, what we were doing, and they do know, but it's like, do we know? Do we see how far?
Exactly.
Bro, literally.
Yeah.
I was on a call with the Brotherhood at the church, right? And we were having this exact same topic because we were talking about how men, we put so much stock in what we do, right?
Yeah.
Like we pride ourselves on, okay, I am I am an astronaut, and people flock to that type of, we were talking about that. And then I told them, I was like, yeah, I got put onto a new tool set. And when I got put onto this new tool set, I just completely felt like I just came from a tool set I mastered, I done well on, right? I come to this whole new tool set. I felt like garbage again, bro. I felt like I didn't know I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't answer questions confidently, and I told him that. And then I told him what makes me push through those hard times is you have to remember the things you've been through before, bro. This is not the first time we've been through these type of things. We've been through worse and pushed through worse, bro. And that's what helps me to get through those feelings when I feel like, oh, I failed, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or I can't handle this thing. I remember the things I've already accomplished, because we often forget what we've done. And also we often forget who we are. You know what I'm saying? Just like you said, that guy's like, all he sees is you elevating because that's what you're doing, but you don't necessarily see it because you're living it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Even just like the example of when you said your aunt, you had lost 15 pounds, and you see yourself elevating. You know what I'm saying? But she may not, like, you saw, that's the situation when you see yourself. You know what I'm saying?
That was my perspective.
Exactly.
Of success. It was a goal I had, and it's a goal that I'm having, and I'm trying to stay to it. So other people won't see it as success because their perspective of success for you is different from what you have for yourself.
And then you recognize that. That's a big thing. Yeah. Because a lot of us don't see, because you were living it and you were losing it, but you're just like, you still know, like, I'm making these.
I think it's everyone has a different definition of success.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course. Right. Success is very specific to the individual.
Right.
Like, my success may not be your success, may not be your success. It may involve the same things, maybe in terms of achievements and accolades, but at the core of it, it's not the same.
At all.
And sometimes where I've found myself falling off is when I put my identity into something else instead of myself. And when that thing that I put my identity breaks down, it's like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
You know? And like, I can't. It's that's a toxic place to put yourself in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Because you don't know who you are, and you're putting yourself into something else, and you need to invest in like who you are and figure it out.
That was the biggest thing I realized in all this. I was putting myself into, I was like, when I get this, I'm gonna be this, versus like, I'm already this.
I'm that.
You know what I'm saying? And like, just being true to yourself, knowing yourself, respecting yourself, you know what I'm saying, appreciating yourself, not the way, because you want to do things based on other people, but like other people, your parents, people close to you, see you. You know what I'm saying, for what you are. So
for what you are.
You know what I'm saying? Whether we fail, you know what I'm saying, like, we still need to, that can't stop us from going. You know, it's like, and even so, so this morning, I talked to another recruiter, because I still couldn't reach that guy, first recruiter. And I was talking on the phone, and I was like, can you give me some feedback on what I did, and if I messed up, like, what I do wrong, all this stuff.
I just want to point out real quick, a lot of people don't even do that. You're already setting yourself apart from so many people, bro, because you got told a no, right? And then most people say F them. You know what I'm saying? Just move on. That's big. That's a really, really good, I think, thing that separates those who really succeed and those who kind of stay the same in a way.
Gotta ask those questions.
So go ahead, my bad.
No, you're good. No, that's important. Like, asking those questions is how you grow. You know what I'm saying? If you fail and you just like stay down, and I think that's something we probably all experience it. You know what I'm saying? You fail and you just clam up and you're like, why did I even do that? You know, why did I even try that? Who do I think I am? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, I can't just clam up, and just like not think about, like, I need to understand why. Like, why did I fail? I don't even like the word fail, but why did this not work out? You know what I'm saying? And how can I grow from this? And he was telling me, he was like, it's not even that you had a bad interview. I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, the other candidate was just stronger. He said, you did really well. You had a really strong interview, but the other candidate was just stronger. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you should stop applying. You know what I'm saying? We have many positions here and you would be a great fit. You know what I'm saying? It's just, this just didn't work out this time. And I think that's a mentality we need to move on, like, have kind of in life, is like, if something doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that we're we're lacking
or we're any less.
Any less. It just means that at this time, it wasn't things didn't line up.
Yeah, bro.
So,
is that's primarily how you?
Yeah, that's primarily like I really just took these 2 days to just kind of like digest and really understand how I was feeling. It just really made me like really appreciate myself and what I'm doing, and even at work, like there was a position that opened up that I was asked to interview for, but I turned down because, and in the past I would have interviewed for it because I'm like, oh, I want to be seen as this, you know what I'm saying, or I want to move out of this and get to this level, but you know what I'm saying, I'm like, I don't want to, like I always knew I didn't want to do that, you know what I'm saying, but because I was like, well, because this is how I'm supposed to go, but because I know now that I'm, even though it's hard and, you know, I still have doubts, I don't know if that's the right thing that I did, you know, but in my heart of hearts, I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do, you know, and I turned it down and I was like, I know what I want to do and I'm going to get there, you know what I'm saying, and this puts pressure on me, you know, it's like it applies pressure versus just like before, if I just did that, I'd have gotten comfortable, like, oh, this isn't that bad, I can keep doing this, you know what I'm saying, I was like, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to stay doing what I'm doing, have the time to get to where I want to get to. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, you know?
Well,
but
that's some of the best situations come out of that. I mean, come out of the, like, kind of ambiguity. Like, you know, when you put yourself out there, you've given it your best, right? You put yourself out there. Sometimes that's when the opportunities really start coming because at that point you're prepared. Because you put yourself out there, you had to work harder, right? Yep. So because you're putting yourself out there for that new position in a discipline that's not exactly what you're doing right now, right? You put in tons of hours coding, bro. Tons, right?
Real.
So now that work's already in place, it doesn't just disappear. Now that you've missed this one opportunity, it just means that you're going to be even better prepared for the next, like, whatever opportunity comes after that, bro.
Exactly.
You know, that's, I think, like, and you talk about not saying failure. It's not. There is no failure. It's only failure if you
quit.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn from it, if you don't ask, why didn't I get the job? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It's definitely transferable to
But that's big, bro.
everything we do. Any venture, you know what I'm saying? Like, the venture you had when that, you know, house didn't work out.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I missed out on all this. You know what I'm saying? But, like, the way I started seeing that is, like, it's not that we missed out. It's that we got this great knowledge to know, like, maybe something might come where you might have a bigger margin of income. And because you know that, you're like, I'm not going to make the same mistake. But if you never knew, you might make, you know, does that make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's just taking those moments that we perceive as failure in that moment and just ask, why is it happening for us? And what can I pull out of this? Because whenever I lost that home, man, I put so much identity in that home. I was like, man, I'm about to get this check.
Rolling,
I'm about to be so happy. And then when it fell through, literally I was just in a mood for just like days, man. And I was like, I can't.
What did you do, bro?
As far as
to get out of that, what actual steps did you like take?
I talk to myself, man. I journal. I write my thoughts out and just really just stay isolated. Not that I can be alone, because when we're alone, we're not really alone. We're thinking and we're talking to ourselves. So if I'm talking to myself and telling myself that it's going to be okay, like, this is happening for a reason, this is between me and me, this is for myself and who I am, then I become better. And I know that I'm not doing it because I put my identity in that.
Yeah.
And because I didn't put my identity in it, I don't see it as a failure. If it doesn't work out, it just means I need to keep pushing.
Yep.
If it's something that I'm passionate about, of course.
Yep. I think that's the key, is just recognizing that this, like, I'm passionate about this. So I think that's even so who was I talking to? So I was talking to this guy on there's this community I'm part of. It's called Co-Founder. I don't know if I told you about it, but it's called Co-Founders Lab, where pretty much there's a bunch of people on that where you can go on there to find co-founders for new venture, this and that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was on that when I was first looking for co-founders for What's Poppin'.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got co-founder for that, but I've met a bunch of like really cool people who I like talk with, maybe weekly, bi-weekly, things like that. And I met this guy, and I was, talking to him about because he said he had his own venture. He started kind of in also the same realm of like social media, things like that. And I was telling him, okay, like this is where I kind of fell through and ran out of funding, and he was telling me how he fell through, and he was like, that's one thing that you notice a lot about with sometimes first time founders. That's something that you see when you're working on something and you hit that first roadblock. That was like defines your passion. I tried other avenues, but I wasn't. When I think back, I wasn't really like, searching the city to do everything I could. But he was like, that's how you know when you're really passionate about what you're doing. Is you hit a roadblock, it doesn't stop you, and you keep going. And I was like, that's facts.
That's why I think it's so important to chase your passions, because then you put in that extra 10%, because to be like really great at something, you can't just put in 100%, bro. It has to be that extra 10%, or at least that's what I believe. Right?
That's true.
And that 10%, I think, is the passion, because there's a million basketball players, right? But there's only one Kobe, or there's only one LeBron. Right? Yeah. They have just a little bit extra in some way, shape, or form, bro. And that just goes for like so many different fields. It doesn't have to be athletics. I have people that I work with, right, who just kind of just love what we do. You know what I'm saying? They have that extra that just makes them, really dig into the science behind what's going on here. I'm talking about much deeper than what is required. If even the highest level people, they go even further than that. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's that passion that'll push you to that whole nother level, right? So that's why I think in general in life, you should chase your passions. Like that's where you should start. Like if you don't even know what your passion is, spend time figuring out what your passion is. The only way to figure out your passion is to try things, right? So you try different things, you immerse yourself in different environments. Soon you'll figure out, okay, I'm good at this thing, or I like this thing, and then go for it, right? Because if you never go towards that, you're just gonna be wasting your time on all these other things, and you'll never reach that 110% in something.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like I really wanna. We aspire to be so much, and I wanna achieve my passion because I aspire to be so much, right? We talk about how people look at us as already knowing all these things, but then in our head we just kind of see what's after that, right?
Yep. We see the next step and like what else we have to do, just trying to conquer that.
And I would hate to never try to go for that. You know what I'm saying? And I think one way to do that is to not go for that is by stopping when you hit your first roadblock. Then, you know what I'm saying? You'll never achieve or never reach that second level or that next level.
That's major.
But
it just all comes down to your why. One thing that was always like repeated to me and like told to me was, what's your why? And like what is the reason that motivates you? Because like there will be roadblocks and shit that will come against you, and at times it's like, I don't know if this is what I want to do.
Right.
But then when you figure out it's like, this is why I'm doing this, then all these barriers and stuff, that it's gonna happen. It's gonna keep happening. But I'm gonna keep pushing through because this is what I want.
Right.
This is what I told myself that I want, and I believe that I can do it.
Right.
So,
what do y'all think about passion versus necessity?
What do you mean?
So if the passion is not gonna pay the bills, right away, but you have certain necessities that you have to meet. So let's say I was having the reason I bring this up because I had this conversation with one of Cam's friends. We had this big kind of argument about does passion make you great or does necessity make you great, right? So like Michael Jordan, do you think he got to his level because of passion or because of necessity, if that makes sense? Or do people get to the highest level because of passions
or necessity? Which comes first?
Necessity comes first.
You think so?
Yeah.
So that was the basis of the argument was, does necessity come first or passion come first?
I would argue and say that passion comes first. Just because you have to look, there's things that you want and there's things that you need. But then once you figure out what you want truly, then you can see what you need. Like, okay, I'm passionate about data and coding. What do I need? These courses. I need to do these interviews. I need to sharpen my LinkedIn, my resume. But if you start doing things out of necessity, it's like, oh, I need to have my LinkedIn. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to do that. I need to know how to do that. It's like you become so jumbled because there's so many things that we need as humans.
Right.
But are we passionate about these things that we say that we need and want to chase first?
I agree. I agree with that. That's definitely true. Because passion helps you be more focused in that. But not everybody has the luxury to find your passion first, which is the tough part.
That is.
I can speak from my perspective. I didn't even know I was interested in coding and data analytics until I got into it. You know what I'm saying? I got into it because I needed a job at Samsung. You know what I'm saying? And then Samsung provided that class for data science, all that stuff. And that's when I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, I can be passionate. I can see myself being passionate about this. And that's kind of where, so for me, and it's case by case, definitely.
Right.
So even in maybe a case of LeBron, like, why did he start playing basketball? You know, maybe he sees it as a way. He loves it. Which I think there's a situation where it can be mixed too.
Yeah,
I feel like there's different situations.
But, so that's it. With LeBron, the argument we got into about was like, do you think guys start playing basketball because they see how much money you make in basketball, or because they're passionate about basketball?
Oh, there's definitely people in NBA who are doing it for
money,
yeah,
right?
Money.
And then do you think those are the guys who become the greatest?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Right?
No.
So in my opinion, I think passion, once your basic necessities are met, and that's shelter, food, air, whatever the basic necessities are, I think that passion then pushes you to your highest level.
Yeah, passion is what gets you to the next level.
I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Of course, necessity will push you to do things and to put food on the table, but I don't think it's going to push you to your highest level.
No, necessity wouldn't, by no means would necessity push you. Necessity is what gets you there. Or what gets you started. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I blanked out.
No pressure. No pressure. Trying to say something real intellectual. It's like, it's all good, bro. It is.
But it's definitely, I think it's failure is good when you know how to deal with whenever you fail, or like whenever something doesn't go your way.
Right.
That's when you could really succeed. Because like when something doesn't work out, you ask questions. You're like, why did this happen? How did this happen? How can I improve? You know what I'm saying? Just like at work, root cause analysis. Who did it?
Bro, literally. But so much of that stuff applies to real life, bro.
It does. Because before I used to be like, why are they doing so much of this? Why are we doing so much, all these different, I don't even call confidential information, but why are we doing all these?
What are we doing?
You know what I'm saying? Why are we going so deep to find why this failed? I was like, why do we do all this? But now I understand. It's like, if you don't understand your failure modes, you can't know where you can fail again in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
Or how you can avoid those possible,
Bro,
areas.
we can literally apply that to any part of our lives, bro.
Any part of your life, bro.
Literally. I feel like the older, I guess the more mature I get, and the more read I get, the more I learn, right? The more I listen to, the more I read. I start to really realize a lot of things are very, very similar. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's patterns in everything. And to a certain extent, there's overlap in a lot of patterns.
There is.
Just like you just said. In work, we go down this whole rabbit hole of figuring out why something happened. Like, what is the real root cause? When I get an issue on my machine, they're not like, what's happening right now? They're like, figure out what led to this, right? Exact same thing in our lives, bro. When we make a mistake, right? Or let's say we end up in some certain situation, there's a reason we ended up there. You got to do a root cause analysis on the reason you ended up there, bro. it literally applies directly to our own lives, right? Or let's say you blow your engine, right, in your car. There's a reason why you blew your engine, right? The car doesn't just decide to blow an engine for the most part.
Yep.
Let's say you were skipping oil changes, right? Let's say you cracked an oil pan and you never even thought about going to get it looked at. You heard a big bump. You never thought about going to get it looked at. Versus on my machine, if we see a signal, we automatically go, boom, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So like as the further I get in my career and as I get older, I realize that there's a lot of overlap and a lot of patterns and a lot of things we do. You know, from professional life to personal life to even like spiritual life. There's a lot of like, and that's one thing I want to base my podcast off of too, is principles. Like there's a lot of principles in life that just don't change, right? And those principles will present themselves in every facet of your life, every area of your life. You know what I'm saying? Lying, cheating, those things present themselves in certain ways. Procrastination present themselves in certain ways, and they all lead to a specific thing in every one of those areas, and it won't change. You know what I'm saying? If you procrastinate on changing your oil, you're going to have a catastrophic failure one day. If you procrastinate on building your relationships, you're going to have a catastrophic failure in your relationships. You know what I'm saying? So, that's good. What you were saying, I don't remember.
No, that builds off. I think procrastination is definitely I don't know if we talked about it, but just like if you like, why wait? If you can do something now, why wait to do it later?
Why wait till tomorrow?
And it's like it's so easy for us to be like, you know, like I do that all the time. Like the simplest things, like, oh, I need to make this payment. Man, I can do that tomorrow. Literally, that takes going to Instagram and posting a story. It takes more time. Takes more time.
You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna bite you back in the ass.
I be doing that with tolls all the time.
It's the smallest things, bro.
It be like $5.99. I'm like, I'll wait till the next paycheck.
And they're doing the most damage, bro. The easiest things that we neglect end up doing the most damage. It's like, I should have done this before.
It's like that little wave. It's like the butterfly effect. I think it's called the butterfly effect, bro. It's like a little wave turns into a tsunami on the other side of the planet.
Man.
Type stuff, bro.
Yep. It's like you gotta address it as soon as you see it.
The nail on my head.
Bro, I've been struggling with that, bro. I definitely have struggled with that. Like, there's definitely a project I have going on right now that I've been slacking on. And it's like...
At work?
I could have been, and I could have been, like, more... If I had done 5 minutes a day, it would have been done by now, right? But it's not. Because I haven't been, you know what I'm saying? I think, like, overall, to be successful, discipline is number one. And that's like it's so much easier said than done in a lot of areas, right? You got to be very disciplined about it, because if you don't consistently be on that, you'll never achieve that full result, right? Yeah. And I think that goes, pretty much into any area, right, of your life. Discipline is the center of that. Discipline is the answer, like. If you're not disciplined in your sleep habits, it's gonna mess you up, right? If you're not disciplined in how you react to things, you're gonna be a very erratic person. People are not gonna trust you. People aren't gonna you're like, we don't know what type of guy we're getting today. You know what I'm saying? If you're not disciplined in your actions or your habits, then
I think it's definitely being disciplined and intentional about like because you have to make a decision like, okay, today I'm going to be disciplined. Today I'm going to get this done. Today, like how I became more disciplined was because a lot of times I'll just have like a bunch of things I need to do, and I wouldn't even. This is probably when I first moved to Austin. I wouldn't even know. I'd be like, oh, I'll do this, and there's a bunch of things that I missed.
Yeah. So
I just started writing down, just like at work. First thing I do when I go to work, I guess we should all share how we are disciplined. But how I do it is, when I get to work, or even in my daily life, when I wake up, I write down like my action items for the day. You know what I'm saying? What I need to get done. I need to do this, everything. I do the previous day for the whole week, all my action items, and I get this done, then I'm like, okay. And I even feel better when I get it all done. I can relax.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I got everything I needed done. Now I can rest. You know what I'm saying? And that's the key. Bro. Like when because a lot of times we might not be disciplined because we're like, I'll rather just, I can do that later because let me chill right now.
Yeah.
But you can chill harder when everything's done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
It's so true. Yeah. How do you stay disciplined, O'Neil?
Sort of along the lines what Katie said, just write out action items for the day. I don't overwhelm myself and like try to put so many action items in the day.
That's good. That's key.
Yeah, because if I put so much, then I feel like I'm, in a sense, pressured to do it all. And if there's so much to where I can't do them all, it's like,
you feel defeated.
You feel like you wasted a day.
Yeah.
So I make sure that what all that I'm doing, I'm not overwhelming myself. And if there's more that needs to be done, I'm gonna make sure I complete the ones I have before I do something else. And if I've done what I've needed to do for the day, then I'm not gonna try to rush to do more things. I'm just gonna be done for the day and reflect on how I'm gonna execute the next day on the things I have to do.
Bro, one thing, so one of the books I was reading was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and they have this thing called a quadrant method in there, right? So there's 4 squares, and you label the square at the top. It's urgent, not urgent, important, not important, right? So then the first square would be urgent and important. Then the second Q2, like quadrant 2, would be important but not urgent, right? Q3 would be urgent but not important.
Yeah.
And then Q4 would be not important and not urgent.
Yeah.
Literally, that has helped me so much, bro, because what I struggle with is prioritization. I get very like, if I see a list, it's sometimes hard for me to pick which is the most important to do first, if that makes sense, right? And what that quadrant system helps you to identify is, okay, sometimes urgent and important things are not, like, we get bogged down in emails. They are urgent and they are important, so we think we need to do emails all day. But realistically, your outcome or your productivity for the whole day is going to be smaller than if you were to focus on something that's important but not urgent, i.e., learning your machines better or learning your process better, right? Because it's not urgent that you do that, but it's very important that you do that. So you often forget quadrant 2. That's the most important quadrant, even in our lives. Quadrant 2 are activities that you do to maintain, right? To improve. So working out, it's not urgent, but it's important. Let's say reading every day. It's not urgent, but it's important, right? We get caught up in Q1 where all of a sudden your friend's knocking on your door saying, hey, can you come do this? It's urgent because he's at your door. It's important to him, but in your grand scheme of things, it's just going to slow you down. So that's what's helped me, bro, a lot. I started taking my notebook out and drawing that quadrant, those 4 quadrants every day. Like you said, when I list out my action items, I make sure I classify each properly so that I know, first of all, focus on Q2. Just kind of chip away at some things in Q2, then go to Q1. Then I'll go to important but not important but urgent, and then not urgent, not important, kind of deal.
Do you guys document your like long-term goals somewhere, or like how do y'all document your like immediate, long-term? Like you have that in a notebook and a board.
That's good.
Because I put mine in a board. I kind of like write down immediate and long-term, and
you have
how do y'all?
You have it on the board?
You have a whiteboard in my bathroom. How do y'all document your? I'm just curious how different ways y'all do it.
Well, like long term, what do you mean by like?
Just like so I guess I'll give an example. Like I would say, I'm like, okay, I'm working on. So before Kodi was launched, I was like, okay, I have that was like a long term goal. Kodi, then my data science mastery. So I write those down, just these long term goals. And then immediate goals, I'm like, okay, well, whether I want to get to this particular level of fitness, I want to finish this particular course. I write those down and then so that's kind of like just really like immediate, long term.
Okay.
Really just like that.
Yeah, like for things that I want to accomplish, like buying a home or completing an EP, I'll have like it on my phone and just write down those goals and like what steps I need to do or like what needs to get done for me to get from point A to point B. But for like longer term goals, I feel like those can change. But
of course, yeah.
I just have an envisionment of like what it would look like to accomplish, and it just.
Do you document it anywhere?
Nah, I just
kind of have it.
I know what it looks like.
Okay,
like I have my, because it can change, but for what it has now.
But do you document those shorter term goals?
Yeah, I do. I do,
Where?
like buying homes or.
Yeah, like where? If you don't, then
no, like notes on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Through videos that I'll just have videos of myself.
Oh, the kind of recording so you can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just like taking note of like what's going on and shit.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have my note section, bro. I have my note section.
Do you write or do you type or like?
I type. It's in my note section.
Okay. Yeah. Me too.
So I kind of bounce back and forth. So my mirror is full of those goals. Like they're all in my mirror, right? But my things change often, so my notes is more dynamic. So on the fly, I'll think of something.
Yeah, you updated.
And I updated my notes, right?
Yeah.
But like what's on my mirror is kind of my overarching midterm goals. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like my immediate goals are on my phone. My midterm goals are on my mirror. Third term goal or like long term goals are just kind of floating in my head or wherever. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of how I do it.
Do you guys also have stuff where you? Because like I remember when I was talking to O'Neil about we texted about the Google thing. He said I should journal. He journals.
Trevor's been doing that too, man.
Oh, Trevor does that too?
Yeah. Trevor told me about that.
It's definitely good to get it out. Cause like there was a time I was feeling like earlier this year, like February, I was feeling really down, and I had just like written down how I was feeling, and I was gonna. I don't know if you guys ever do this, cause I was thinking about. I'm doing this. I wrote down how I felt, and I was like, when I get to where I want to be, where I see I want to be, I'm gonna go back and read it.
Yeah, that's good.
And reflect on how far I've come.
Yep.
Wow.
And yeah.
I definitely need to start journaling, bro. I don't journal. I plan to use this as a medium to journal. I think journaling is important, bro, because like
everybody has their different.
Trevor's explaining to me, everyone has their different, ways of doing it, but just in general, journaling is important. Trevor explained to me how it helps him, right?
Yeah.
He was saying that it helps his memory because to sit down and remember what he did for that day or the actions, the decisions he made and things like that actually helps his memory for the next day and the next day and the next day. And also, it's like Trevor really this was a really great point he said that we often have like patterns in our life of mistakes, right? But you don't see it because it's not on video, it's not documented anyway if you don't have a journal. So you just kind of keep going through these patterns and you make the same mistakes over and over again, whatever that mistake is. But for him, he says that he goes back and reads his mindset, let's say however long ago, he's like, wow, I was making the same mistake I made today back then too. I can't let this happen the next term. You know what I'm saying? I can't let it happen next term. And the only way to see that type of growth or see the same pattern of mistakes you've been making is by documenting it and journaling it. And that's how you get better, That's how you get better.
That's good.
So I definitely encourage journaling. And however that works for you. It's funny because like you watch movies and you see like the little girls have the diary. I'm like, bro, I'm not finna have no diary, but literally that's what it is.
It's not even like whether it's journaling, whether it's making a podcast, whether it's making a video for yourself, like
music.
A memoir, music. It's like we have these mediums which we like that we pour our thoughts into and that we can come at peace with, whether it's putting in your podcast for your collection, whether it's me putting my emotions into writing for a song or putting my emotions into writing for how my day went and how I felt.
Yeah.
It's like if we keep that shit in and we don't find a way to express it, it's like, all right, no one's gonna understand. I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
But who can understand me better than me?
Yeah.
Or try to understand me better than me. You know what I'm saying? Bro. And it just helps you know yourself even more.
Yeah.
When you journal.
I think that's a big thing. Taking time to sit, because I feel like this quarantine, especially this past week, I've really just taken time to really think, and I don't remember what morning it was this week. I just like sat down on my couch and I just like was just thinking about myself and why I do some things I do, and I think like taking that time to learn yourself and is so crucial, because like, you know, like Trevor said when you're talking to him, like you learn like, this is my mindset while I was doing that. So why did I do this? You know, what caused me to do this? Why? Like, what's changed? Like you know what I'm saying? How can I make sure I don't do this again?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Type thing. So that was major for me. Like, I really was just like, wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah. I felt like I didn't realize that I was feeling less. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like I was a confident person, but I was like, why is it this is affecting me so much?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that I feel like, it was my mom, you know, who told me, because I was like, I feel like I'm just failing. And she was like, you're not failing by any means. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what are you seeing? You know, I'm like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And that's when I, you know, started to think.
Bro, you can't reach those levels of understanding if you don't sit with yourself and
just reflect.
Yeah, reflect.
So like I said, I think I was talking to you one time. The brain's a muscle, just like our bodies.
Yep.
Like, we work out, go to the gym.
I learned that from Joe Rogan.
You know what I'm saying? Take our times to also flex. You know, work, get some curls.
No, literally.
Some brain curls.
We don't think about our brain being a muscle, but it literally is. It's the same concept. If you don't work out, your biceps don't get bigger. You know, but if you don't read, you don't get more proficient at reading. You know what I'm saying? And then it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you don't, like, let's say you have anger issues, right? Or let's say you're very like kind of temperamental. If you don't assess why you act out like that, then you'll never be able to fight it. You know what I'm saying? You'll never be able to counteract that emotion because you'll never know what's coming, right? But let's say, because I've done this in my life, like let's say I used to get defensive about things, right? And then I started to like realize a pattern in that, right? And I was like, man, I gotta figure out why am I getting so defensive about certain things, you know, even in my relationships or whatever, right? That was one thing I started to work on. I was like, okay, when I feel this coming on, just slow down and start to realize you're doing this thing, right? So whereas before, I wouldn't even realize, right? But at least now I'm moving towards the steps of, okay, I've realized, boom, I'm in this defensive mode. Now what am I going to do? Even if I stay defensive, I'm assessing it so that next time it happens, I'm less and less and less and less, you know, that way. You know what I'm saying? That's for me. But let's say someone else is struggling with something else, right? Maybe they get angry maybe they just have anger issues, right? Why are they getting angry? Sometimes they don't even know they're getting angry because they've always let that emotion control them their entire lives. They never took the time to self-reflect, sit down and figure out, this is not the way to act, or this is not, why am I acting like this? Can I counteract this action? You know what I'm saying? I think that reflection is probably one of the biggest things I've learned in the last 1 year, last 1 to 2 years. In college, I wasn't thinking about reflecting, bro.
In college, I was thinking about...
You think about what? Well, you wanna say something on record, O'Neil? Huh?
I was thinking about something else.
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, I wasn't saying nothing.
I think it's like, that's like when you're before life happens and you're younger, when you don't really think, you just like do, and you don't really like understand. You know what I'm saying? Why?
Yeah.
Like why? Like what's your like? Why am I doing this? What's the reason of what I'm doing this? But I think as you get older and you settle down and you have the capacity, whether it's like, because you know in college you might live with like all your friends, whether, you know what I'm saying, everybody's around, like all your friends around you all the time, you know what I'm saying? But when you're working, when you're out in the professional world or wherever it may be, like you have more time to kind of see life situations and be like, why? What's happening? Like what's... I don't know if this makes sense.
Wait, say that again. You said that when you're in school?
So like, I mean, you can reflect in school, but it's not something that happens frequently because you're always on the go. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's your fraternity or, you know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Studying, you're just like all the time on the go, you know, but...
I think you have to create the time though. I think we weren't, or at least I wasn't, just speaking for myself, I wasn't aware enough to create the time.
Yeah.
Like now I create the time. You know, I take the time to either, what do I reflect? I reflect here, but a lot of times I go out I go outside.
To Mount Bonnell.
I'll go. Yeah, I love going out west. Right. I just like being around. I like going out west because out west there's a lot of big bodies of water and there's hills. Right. And
beautiful.
for me, it just like puts everything in perspective when I see that. Like there's just so much. Like this is so much bigger than me. That's kind of how I look at it. Right. And it puts me kind of in a different kind of space to just, I guess, reflect and embrace, just soak up all this energy of what I'm looking at, you know? I don't know. Like,
that's major.
Like heights and big bodies of water, they just put things in perspective for me for some reason.
It shows you how big the world is.
Yep.
Yeah, it shows you how big the world is. And not to get too crazy, but we all think we're important. But in the grand scheme of things, everyone thinks they're the most important, right? And we should think we're the most important, but in the grand scheme of things, everyone thinks that. But I want to leave here leaving the biggest impact I can and the biggest positive impact I can. So my goals moving forward, I had never thought about this before. Like I said, within the last year, my goals moving forward are to impact the most number of people in the most positive way I can. Whereas in college, I was never thinking about that. I literally was not thinking about that. Like, there was never a thought in my mind of how it's my job to impact people. Because what else are we on earth to do? I mean, we're not on earth to blow money, to build houses, yeah, but realistically, you live on through, your spirit lives on through other people, right? So when you see certain people die, right, they impacted so many people that they continue on. You know what I'm saying? But then you have people who die every day, and no one knows, or no one, you know, maybe they impact us a much smaller, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to impact as much people as I can while I'm still here, you know, and
that's major.
the only way to do that, self-reflection, and to just put out what you put out is what you get back. Thank you guys very much for listening to the first episode of the Darren to Share podcast. Subscribe on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, at Darren to Share podcast. To catch the next episode, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversations and also took away some gems from the conversation. Please comment down below what your favorite part of the podcast was and what your favorite gem was. I would really appreciate hearing from you guys, and I really look forward to providing you guys with tons more content, a lot more informative conversations with really important people and really unique people. So look out for the upcoming episodes on the platforms that I've just mentioned. Thank you guys. Love, peace, and positivity. We out.